Good morning. Good morning. I hope it's a good morning for you. And like I say all the time, or not all the time, but if you woke up this morning, it's a good morning. And so, welcome, welcome, welcome. And when you're here live, make sure you say hello. You let me know that you're here. And if StreamYard does not have permission to share your name, which you can give it permission anytime, that make sure that you tell me who you are so that I know who I'm talking to. And uh, like I said, it's a beautiful morning. The sun is shining. Um, I just feel so excited to be here with you guys. Good morning, Donna. Good morning. Good to see you here. And I loved your share in the group yesterday about your self care and all the things that you're doing. Uh, I loved it, and it's funny because I look over there at your name when I'm talking to you, like that translates here, and I know it doesn't, but I don't know why it's a habit. So when I do that, I'm actually looking at your little picture. So that's what I'm looking at is what appears as you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And so I'm going to share today's affirmation, and I let me go ahead and share that up. All right. Today's affirmation is I embrace change as a pathway to growth. And I know we've talked about this quite a few times because this comes up in a different way in affirmations all the time. Because we tend to shy away from change because change can be uncomfortable. It can be the unknown can be scary, and the thing is that the feeling of excitement and the feeling of fear are actually the same feeling. It's just like, and I think I shared this recently. I don't know. I share stuff all the time, so I don't know where I've shared, but when you're excited, you're you're breathing and you're just going through and just having a good time. But when you're afraid or um, um, not wanting to do something, then you just almost like you're holding your breath. So the difference between those two emotions is how you're breathing. And so what I would like for you to do is if there's a change that you're afraid of doing, try thinking of it for just a little bit with some relaxing breaths and just kind of breathe through it. Maybe close your eyes, feel into what you're thinking about. And if you can think about it in a way and change your breath, then it makes it easier to step out and do the change or do the steps toward the change. And so we a lot of times are holding ourselves back. Good morning, Terry. We're holding ourselves back just because we're constricting our breath. And I know I've done that many, many times. And once I became aware of how the breath makes it feel more fearful, then when I'm faced with something that I'm wanting to change or is changing me, and it feels a little uncomfortable, a little scary, I remember that to take this time to breathe into the change. And that's when it's not holding me down so much. It gives me the opportunity to see a solution, to see outside of it. And I know we talked about that a little bit yesterday. And I don't even remember what the affirmation was, but we talked a little bit yesterday about how it can be a scary, daunting thing. Hopefully, it's not the same one because I didn't. What was the one yesterday? Because I picked it from a different place. So if it is, it means that we need to hear it more than one time, right? Um, but it is important to remember your breath as you're going through your day. And um, just to get into a more peaceful place within your heart, your soul, and your mind. All right, so now let's go to, oh, I need to get the, hold on, let's see if I can, all right, so let me get back to, um, it's going to be so funny if this is the exact same one from yesterday, but I don't remember. I thought I had it written down, but I don't. So if it is, good morning, Facebook user. Who are you? I want to be able to know who you are. All right. So, what are my top 3 priorities this week and why? And we were just talking about change. And so, think about something in your life that you're wanting to change, and then use this as a way to decide the next steps. Because if you can relax that breath and take the and create a space of being excited for change, knowing that that's really change is what's going to make your life so much better, especially when you do change on purpose. And there was a thing that I was listening to the other day, and as I do every day, and um, one of the things he was talking about was how when something is changing on purpose, you're creating, you're doing, and sometimes it seems to take a while for things to happen. But if you're just not doing anything, he likened it to a house. So a house that's lived in and is cared for, it tends to it would stand forever, right? But a house that's left to ruin, where they're not taking care of it, and they're not living in it, and it's just sits, it deteriorates 1,000 times faster without someone caring for it than it ever would if they were living in it. And so the reason that I bring that up is, just like he said, is that if you're not doing something every single day to better your life, to learn more, to grow more, to get out of your comfort zone, then it can very easily, you backslide into all old habits that you've had, and then those habits just kind of pull you down into the funk that you might have been in before. And so every day, make a choice to do something that is good for you, your health, your mind, your body, your spirit, and continue to grow. So, with that in mind, what are the top 3 priorities this week? What is something that you're wanting to grow, to learn, and create some priorities for that? And then ask yourself, why is that important? Because a lot of times we have goals, we have aspirations that we're working toward. And then if we really sit down and think about it, is that really what we want? What is it that we want, not what society tells us we should want, or our parents tell us, or a sibling, or somebody we know, because they may not, well, they don't know the inner workings of you and what you are gifted with in a way that maybe they don't even know about. It's looking at the reasons why you do things and why something is important to you. Make sure that it is actually your desire that you're working toward, and not what someone else has led you to believe should be your desire. Because, like, there are some people that want to live in a big mansion and have just all these rooms and all this stuff. And for me, no. I want to have an exceptionally nice, luxurious house, but do I want to have that big monstrosity? No. I want it to feel comfortable, relaxed, and homey. Now, I don't want a little tiny house either. I want a bigger house where I have space for you want a tiny house, Terry? Not me. I like to have a room to spread out and to do things. And like for one of my things is I eventually want to be where I'm teaching these in-person workshops, and I would like to have this space in my home that is big enough to have these big workshops. I would love to have a house that I could actually have retreats at. Maybe it's a second house that I do retreats. So I've got all these things that I really want, and I know I want those things. It's not something that somebody else has encouraged me to want. Those are things that I want deep in my heart. And so, if a tiny house is what you want, oh, because I mean, telling you, some of those tiny houses that I see are gorgeous. I just want bigger space. And that's who I am right now. Not to say that in a few years I might feel totally different. And that's what we have the gift of, changing our mind and growing and learning and becoming different people. So, as we're going into our affirmation of I embrace change as a pathway of growth, it is recognizing that, ah, perfect, Donna, perfect. I like the size of my space, but, and I would like to stay here for a little while, but I think that it is not the permanent home that I want to live in for the rest of my life. I have a different vision, and this is the perfect place for now. So I can see myself staying here for a couple of years. Yes, yes. And when we are embracing change as a pathway to growth, then that really takes the sting out of the unknown, because it's like, when you're going on a trip that you've never been on, and you're super excited and you're in the car, your GPS is telling you how to go. Yet sometimes, I know for me, I will take where I say, keep me off the interstate. I want to be traveling in the pathway of seeing all these places. And so let's look at change as we're taking the scenic route. We want to see and learn as much as we can along our way, right? So, with your affirmation, I embrace change as a pathway to growth. Make sure you're putting that on your sticky notes, you're putting it on your index card, or like me, where I use a chalk marker on my mirror, and do that and put it as a screensaver on your phone. And it is going to be so fun to, like, when something comes up and you start feeling some angst about change and you see that, then that is going to help you to just relax and realize, this is the scenic route. I'm on the right path. Let me enjoy the path. Because when you think about it, when we have a vacation, the vacation is not the joy of just the vacation. It's the preparation. It is the journey there. It is the process of being there. Because like Abraham Hicks says, that if it was just to go on the vacation, then what you do is you leave home, you go to the destination, and you come home. So really, why go anywhere if the only thing was to go? It's not to go. It's the journey. It's the experience that we want to have, right? And then for your journal prompt, what are my top 3 priorities this week and why? And think about those changes that you're wanting to make in your life that may feel a little challenging. Then write down 3 priorities that you can use to make those begin to happen. It's not like you're writing down 3 things that make them happen, because it's a process. It's like a ball rolling downhill. It starts slow, but as it starts gaining momentum, it just goes faster and faster. And if you think of the snowball going down the hill, the snowball collects snow and starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so as you begin the process, your top 3 things this week might be really small things. But as you start working through those things, the momentum builds. And then it's going to just start taking a life of its own, and it's going to take you exactly where you want to be or need to be for this change to happen. I like my space, but for me, a big house means more cleaning. Unless it comes with a butler that enjoys cleaning, then I don't care for it. Well, I think while we're dreaming about our space, if you really would like to have a big space, as long as you had somebody else to clean it, if that's your dream, right? And so a lot of times we cut ourselves off from our dream because of things that may not be just right. But like I said, if you're going to dream, dream it all. So if you would like to have a big house, and just imagine that in that big house that you have the ability to have someone else who takes care of it. I mean, it happens, right? If you're going to dream, dream it. Agreed, right? Yeah. And so to me, it has, in my dream of my home, I have someone who takes care of the yard, that takes care of all the different things that I don't want to have to do. And that is the beauty of the dream. It's creating it however you want it, as long as it's what you want and not what someone else has told you that you should want at this stage of your life, or from who you are, or how you were brought up. And there was a few times when I was, was I in high school or college? I don't remember. I think it might have been when I was in high school, and I had a distant relative tell me I was getting above my raising because I was aspiring to do more than what others in the family had done. And I thought, it just felt like all of a sudden it was like, is that what I'm doing? And it took me a while to realize that it's okay for me to want more than what they want. And I will say there was a time in my life too that I wanted stuff and it seemed like it was never coming, and it was never coming. And I just felt this, it didn't make me feel good to do the dream. It felt like I was constantly belittling myself because I hadn't accomplished the dream. And at that point, I thought, why can't I be satisfied with the way this person over here lives, where they don't seem to want a damn thing? They don't, they didn't aspire to anything and they seemed happy. And I thought, why can't I be happy with nothing, and instead of constantly, wanting more? But that's just because that's who I am. I don't want to be I don't I want to be where I can have everything that I desire and not have to decide what I want depending on what my finances say or what other people say. I want to have what I want, and it be easy and it flow. And, it's not always that way. Sometimes it is. But the thing that I work on with all of you, good morning, Norma Jean. The thing that I work on with all of you and with all these things that I do and the tools that I have now is to be making life easier and easier as I go, so that all those dreams and aspirations that I have can come to fruition. But I've also surrendered to the fact that not everything comes in the way that we expect or the way that we want. And that's okay too. And so, like I think we've discussed before, sometimes our journey looks like this little sketch of squiggles all over the place. And it's not like we make a decision and then there we are, because the path, the journey is part of the process. Without that journey, we wouldn't be strong enough to handle what it is that we want when we get it. And that is why embracing change as a pathway to growth is so paramount, because no matter what growth you want in your life, whether it's spiritual, financial, your weight, your fitness, whatever those things are, as you're on the journey, it is beginning to get stronger and stronger in each one of those arenas, right? And so the only way we can create the change that we want in our life is by embracing the change as a positive thing and all the things that happen along the way. And sometimes that may not be easy, but it is so beneficial in the long run. And, for one thing, if you, let's see, how would I say it? If you could work out one time and suddenly you were the most fit person, that would be great. But would you be the person that you really wanted to be at the end of the process? Probably not. My top 3 priorities: eat healthier, read more, and study. Oh, that sounds really good. I love that. And I talked about before that one of the things that I did at one time was I took some sign language classes because I've always been fascinated with sign language, and didn't even know anybody deaf, but I joined some meetup groups and did a lot of things. I took some courses at the college, and then I just kind of got away from it. And I will say that part of the reason that I got really intrigued with it was I had a granddaughter, foster child, whatever. It's a long story, but anyway, she was born addicted to meth, and so her brain didn't work the way it should. And so the one thing that I learned about when I was researching, how can I help her to have the cognitive ability that is the best for her and not have mental issues because of this meth. And one of the things that helps children to grow in their mind is sign language, because it's a different part of the brain, because you're using your hands, and it's very different. And so I started learning sign language for that. And I got even more fascinated with it as I was going, because I realized I could talk to her. I could talk to her very easily, but I couldn't talk to an adult because they don't speak the sign language is not spoken, are not used in the same way as it is to talk to a child. And quiet the mind, slow down, smell the roses. Yes, eat healthy, exercise. Yeah, yeah. Priorities do change as you go through your journey, and it's a gift that you can recognize that it's time for those goals to change, your priorities, because some people get stuck in their little box of, these are what I said I wanted, and I don't care what happens, I'm going to do those. So kudos for that. But when I no longer had my granddaughter around, it was like I didn't have that drive for the sign language. And just recently, I had pulled out my books and was looking at them. And I thought, why did I give this up? If I had been doing this all this time, I would be so proficient at it. But instead of chastising myself for not having continued, I decided, okay, I'm going to go back to my books, go back to my notes and my recordings and everything, and I'm going to start again. And I'm going to give myself 30 minutes every single day that I'm going to work on my sign language. No matter what happens, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes. And so I have been doing that. And I know just enough to pass the little test and everything, but not enough to have a conversation. So I may join another meetup group that is about sign language. I don't know what I'm going to do. I like to say my thoughts and opinions have the right to change without notice. Yes, yes. As long as they're changing from what you want and not from fear, because sometimes we will change our thoughts and opinions because we're holding ourselves back from changing for the better. So it's good. And as long as you're discerning that you're doing things because that's what you want and not because you're afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone. And so that's one of the things I have to do for myself all the time when I make a pivot with something that I'm doing. And I have to evaluate it. You know, am I doing this because that's the easier path? Or am I doing that because that feels like the path that is pulling me and drawing me to it? And even though it may be uncomfortable. And so I have to do that for myself. And I just made this pivot with what I'm doing in the group, make lasting change. And so as I decided to do that pivot, I had to have that conversation with myself. Am I doing this and changing because that's what everybody seems to really be drawn to, and it's what lights me up? Or is it because maybe that's easier? And when I evaluated, it was because I could tell that that's what you guys wanted the most and what you needed. And then it really, really made me get excited and wanting to share even more. And so that's why the pivot worked for me. But it's not always the case. Sometimes I've had a decision I was going to change what I was doing or how I was feeling about things. And then I had the conversation with myself and decided, no, I was doing that because I thought that would be easier. And be easier, but it's not always better. And so that's the process that I have to go through. And like I said, I have to do that, or I do that every time I'm changing from a goal or a decision that I made and deciding why am I making that decision. So it's always a good thing to ask ourselves why is it important, why are we doing this? Because if we've got a big enough why, we can withstand anything, right? And so for you that are not in the group, Make Lasting Change, because this feeds out to different places. If you would like to be part of our group where there is so much community, helping each other, holding each other accountable, and just really has begun to really take where people are sharing, and I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. And you would love it too. So if you would like to become part of the group, all you have to do is go to vickypoole.com, and that's VICKIEPOOLE.com, and join the group, or ask to join the group. But I will say you have to answer the 3 questions, because since we're all sharing and putting our hearts and our souls out there, I want to keep this a safe environment. And so if you don't answer the questions, then I don't feel that you're a good fit. And so the only way you can get into the group and be a part of it is to do what you were asked to do, which is answer the questions. And it helps me to help you, and lets everybody know that everybody there is there for the same purpose: community, learning, growing, and the joy that we can get from helping one another is just amazing. So like I said, if you want to be part of the Lasting Change group, I go live every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, where we celebrate each other and we learn about each other. And I add some education in there that people are wanting to know about, but it is so much more. The community is just, it just has this vibration about it that just feels so comfortable. And like you're best friends in your family. And if that's something that you look for, then that is what the Monday 9 a.m. is all about. And then I share every day the affirmation and the journal prompt. Terry shares on Wednesdays. And my goal is to remember that on Wednesday, it's Terry's turn. Can you check if I did register? I can't remember if I did. So who is that? And I can check, because it doesn't show your name on there. All right. So who is that? Can you check if I did register? I can't remember if I did. I think you did. So I think I remember your name in there, but um, I will check when I get off here, and I will um, I will send you a direct message to let you know for sure that you are registered. Okay, and um, thank you all for being here. And I'm super excited to share with you every single day. This is part of my self-care here too. Ah, my pleasure. And I'll let you know. All right. So you guys have an exceptionally blessed day. And remember to share your hashtag peachy vibes. You're supposed to be sharing every single day something about your self care and how you are doing your self care every day. And we're all here to support you. And remember, if you share yours and you notice that some other people haven't shared, then ask them, point it out, and say, hey, I shared mine, you share yours. And let's hold each other accountable for actually doing our self care every single day. All right. Be blessed. And I will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mwah.